Good afternoon, dear beloveds. This is White Wolf. I'm going to start off by enacting protocols. Call upon the live fire dragon, earth and water dragon, earth and fire dragon, Quine Speed dragon, golden orange dragon, Ezekiel, my two black dragons, a black dragon from Saturn, and the alpha dragon, Archangel Michael, Gabriel, Sandalphon, Raphael, Mother Mary, Saint Germain, the Intergalactic Council, Galactic Federation of Light, grandfather, grandmother, and the tribal women are also in attendance. And so it is. We are live right now, and I'm going to be talking about densities of consciousness, what people are going through, how people are having more discernment, having more wisdom, having more love, and wanting to be service to others, but they got to realize the attachment to non-attachment. So I'm going to talk about the progression of your soul. I'm going to talk about the densities of consciousness that you all are experiencing right now. You don't know what's happening to you. You need some guidance from other people. Seek that guidance. If you need a change in your life, make that change happen. Become the change. Embrace the change. Embrace who you are fully as a soul, integrating so many different things within your being. And I'm hearing myself again, so I'm going to share out real quick, and as I'm sharing out, please share out to all of the groups. It takes a minute, so please give me a moment to do so. There is some things to be said. There are a lot of things to be said, but because people don't know what is happening. People are going nuts. People are doing ayahuasca ceremonies without doing the proper thing. There's so many things, but what we have to do is not look at things subjectively, but we got to look at things very objectively. We can't always personally assert our emotions into the matter, and it's not going to let me share. So I'm just going to share to my personal page. So without further ado, this is White Wolf, and there are some things to be said, but we're breaching densities of consciousness. A lot of people are coming from fourth density when they're embracing love, they're embracing the light, they're embracing source within, but they are not seeing how God sees. They're not fully seeing how God sees. They're sort of playing God, but they're not embracing the way God sees and becoming the perspective, becoming all that they can be. What happens is that we have to have a crucible. It's kind of like with Paul in the Bible. He was Saul at one point. He was stricken with blindness in Damascus. And as he went there, he had a very eye-opening experience. And then as he stoned Peter, what happened within that sequencing of events, he had to see without seeing. He had to know without knowing. He had to really have something crazy happen to him in order for him to understand what God's love was. And then Jesus had to regain his sight after 3 days. So it's kind of like he changed when he stoned Peter, when the people stoned him, and then his sash fell on the ground. And then what was bestowed to him was his true self, was Paul, not Saul. And then a crucible happens as you breach density of consonance. Once you go from fourth density and you get to fifth density, you're having a balance of love and wisdom. You're ready to speak into people's lives. You're ready to know what service to others is, but you're not going to give your shirt away. You're still going to respect yourself. You're going to accept yourself. And you've cleared a lot of things along the way. You've had a lot of healing. And you've gained a lot of wisdom, but now it needs to be balanced. It needs to be balanced with love and wisdom. Because love is firm, but we always go kind of doormat asshole. So we need to understand that love can only be balanced with wisdom. You can't just be too wisdom oriented, and I'm learning this myself. You can't be too wisdom oriented and be very loving and be very compassionate. But even not knowing what people need or what they want, but telling people what they need to hear, saying the truth when it needs to be spoken, is what happens when we are a progressive collective consciousness. We're breaching densities. You don't know what's happening to you. You don't know what the changes are going on within your life today. But there's a change in you. You've had the metaphysical baptism. You've had the metaphysical crucibles. But what we're merging into is a unified, balanced state. We're seeing as God sees. We're not looking from a perspective, we're looking at the perspective. We're not looking from emotions, we're showing people that everybody has their own higher self, everybody has their own spiritual journey, and all of our emotions are guidance. So what you have to understand, what is happening to you in this moment, if you're very angry, if you're losing patience, is because you're suppressing the creator within. There's a lot of ideas that you're not implementing. Maybe you got to get 2 jobs before you can make money off your gifting. Change is inevitable, but we can't be afraid of change, and we can't look at things with subjectivity. We got to look at it with objectivity. And we got to look at this with catalysts. We got to look at this with emotions. We got to look at it with our life as it is right now. If we want that change, if we want to become who we really are, we got to realize that everything happened to us to bring us to this state, to bring us to this clarity, to bring us to this truth, to speak into people's lives, to have the discernment, to know that God is just God. He is not a separate entity. God is inside of you, and if you have God within your being, within your state of frequency, within who you are, and as you try to vibrate as a soul, we're just coming in to a perfect balance of love and wisdom. But most of you are beginning to usher in the 4th density. You are just seeing love. But you need guidance. You need to learn a few lessons. You need to go around the block a few times. And I'm not saying this from direct experience. I know I've only had maybe 2 or 3 years, but I wouldn't have went through the things that I went through today and speak this truth that I am speaking today if I didn't have that power, if I didn't have that freedom, if I didn't have the risks that I took today. What it is making you live without consequences. Just imagine if you lived your life without any sort of consequence, without any sort of self-judgment, not going against your state of being, stepping out in faith each time that you just stepped out in faith, that you went for it, you rolled the dice, you see where it landed for you, what was right for you, the chances that you took. You don't know how it looks like right now, but that's the beauty in not knowing. That's autonomous knowledge. There's a beauty in not knowing. There's a beauty in not seeing down the road. But you got to be that slither of light. You got to see light within all things. I believe that there is light and dark. A lot of people are saying, oh, you can't have darkness without light. That's true to a certain extent. But when are you going to stop giving credence to the darkness? When are you going to stop giving credence to things that lower your vibration? When are you going to stop being so negative and start being positive? Because once you have more positive thoughts, you are aligning yourself with Source. But as you keep having the insistence on trying to prove right or wrong with negativity and trying to debate people and trying to be an anarchist and trying to prove this right or wrong and giving into the vibration, into lack, that's why it feels bad. That's why it feels bad when you give into lack. That's why it feels bad when you are not aligning yourself with your state of being. That's why it feels bad when you're just using wisdom, and then it feels bad when you're just being loving. It's got to be a perfect balance. But then we transcend that where we don't give credence to all these 3D constructs, and we're not giving it a label, and we're not giving it a construct, we're not giving it a description. We are becoming unshakable. We're becoming ingraspable. We're becoming very cryptic, a lot like our guides and our higher self is. Because once we see how the higher self sort of sees, it doesn't base its stuff around emotion. It bases its stuff around truth. Your higher self does not get slapped in the face. Your higher self knows what it's doing. So once you give in to the effortless perfection of said higher self, things become very awesome. Things become very smooth. We become supernaturally organic. And once we become supernaturally organic, things start to happen effortlessly. Things start to flow. But we always, when we question ourselves, when we question our alignment, when we question our faith, when we question our freedom, when we question how we look in the morning, when we are questioning who the higher self is, which is us. There's no two of you. The ego is not you. The ego is not you. That is not who you are. That is not your true state of being. That is not who you want to vibrate as. You want to vibrate as the source of all things, all that there is, the container of all things, which is the higher self, which is God in human form, which is the oracle of love, light, and wisdom. And once you see as the oracle of love, light, and wisdom wants to see, you'll begin to see that there's true transcendence in all things, and that we're disassociating from being a human being. That's what sixth density is. That's unified and balanced. It's not subjective. It's objective. It's not a perspective. It's just the perspective from God itself. But some of you are not at that state. And I'm not saying that I'm fully at this state. I do believe that I am trying to migrate to sixth density, unified, balanced state. But I am right now, in this moment, balancing love and wisdom. I'm trying to transcend my emotions. I'm trying to transcend the catalyst. I'm trying to look at things not in a negative sense, but look at the things that happened in my life, the catalysts that happened in my life, the most negative things that have ever happened within my life to make me the man that I am today, sitting in front of you today. You can't look at it negatively. You can't look at it subjectively. You can't look at it from a negative Nancy's point of view. It just does not work. It does not make you a better person. Self-pity doesn't make you a better person. Self-judgment doesn't make you a better person. And questioning your alignment doesn't make you a better person. Questioning your path does not make you a better person. And I'm not saying that I've never had doubts on this path. I'm not saying that I ever questioned my alignment. But I made a decision briefly that I wanted to be happy. I wanted to be in bliss all the time. I wanted to see how my higher self sees. I wanted to be the source of all things. And the only way to do that is to disregard the 3D completely. Is to not give it any credence. Is to not give the darkness any credence. Is to not give your catalyst any credence. But know that it was teaching you something. Your emotions were teaching you something. Every time that you cried, it wasn't that you were being ultra sensitive. It wasn't that you were being a baby. But you're regaining your innocence. Again, you're regaining that innocence, that childlike wonder, seeing how God sees. But anything that I tell you, anything that I say to you, anything that I say, self-love, self-forgiveness, self-realization, self-actualization, manifestation, law of subtraction, any of that is useless if you question yourself, if there's judgment towards yourself, if you are having some restriction. You can't get past this barrier. Once you stop that restriction, once you live without consequences, once you just go for it and roll the dice and see where it lands with no fucks given, just not any disregard, just don't be reckless with this, but you get my point. I'm sorry, if you were in the mafia, if you weren't just ruthless, if you just didn't go out and do those things, you gotta have will. You can't just beg for God, make it my will, God. You got to make it your will today. You got to say that I can do this, that I am this, that I am that. I am whatever I say that I am. And everything around me is confirming what I am. And if everything around me is confirming what I am and I don't like it, then change it and become the change and become the perspective and become the effortless perfection. That is the higher self. The higher self knows. The higher self is not complacent. Don't take credit for this, but have a confidence about you. Have an all is well mentality. Because when you're calm and collected through all circumstances, through all walks of life, through the journey is the destination. And even the destination is not the completion of your soul, because right now, it is before creation. Your creation is not done, but this is before creation. But when we die, We experience the absolute, that is after creation. We experience the twilight. We experience a new, totally different being. So even if you don't see the end of your journey at this point, it does not matter. Because it's just the purification. It's just the authenticity. It's just when you just have the comfortability to just go live and to not question yourself and to just go and speak the truth when it is meant to be spoken. We all have truth. We all have things that we're suppressing. There's all things that we could be doing right now within this point in time. We just don't see an end. We just don't see what it looks like. That's the unknown, though. There's a beauty in having autonomous knowledge because we're not pulling from a source, but we're directly pulling from source, from our innermost being, from our power. We're reclaiming our power. We're claiming it once again. We're claiming our power once again. We're becoming powerful. We're becoming more intelligent, more vibrant, more ethereal. We're becoming more transcendent. We're transcending all the things that make us a human being and disassociating from it. But we're not a regressive consciousness, we're a progressive consciousness. We have to be progressive. We have to think that even though that I'm going through this tough change, that I'm going through this tough time, it does not mean that I should give up on my spiritual journey. It does not mean that I'm lacking something. It does not mean. It means that I was made for the challenge, that I was made for the trials and the tribulation, that I was made to do this. I was created in God's own image to be perfection, to be authenticity, to be truth, to be this, to be all that there is, to be the isness of your being, to be everything that you were created to be. But sometimes we give too much credence to what is being reflected to us. Even though there's things that are being reflected to you, turn it into a positive. Turn it into something that is not so negative. Turn it into something like, maybe I can learn from this. Maybe I do need to watch what I say. Maybe I am emoting too much. Maybe I am giving my power to my emotions. Maybe I just need to look at my emotions that they're teaching me something. Maybe I need to look at my reflections because they're helping me be better. Maybe because I sat here this morning and I cried, wasn't that I was giving into my emotions, but I was clearing something, that I was emptying out something, that I was healing something, that I was transcending something. But when we say that I can't, when we say I can't do this, I am not this, I am not that, it's very helpful, but you need to confirm what you are. If you are all that you are, then there's no limitation on the infinite possibilities within this infinite reality. We're trying to make the most of this. We're trying to make heaven out of the hell that is this world. We're somewhere, sometimes in our journey, we're somewhere in between heaven and hell. Heaven is here, right on earth. You're not going to get it right when you die. It's not going to happen right when you die. We think that we keep praying that we're going to go to heaven when we die, but heaven is already here. It's already been made for you. You got to seek what your heaven is. What is your heaven? What do you want to vibrate as? What do you want to do within this life that is transcendent? What is awesome? What do you want to do in this life? What do you want to be? What is the superhero that you've always wanted to be in this life? What was the Avenger that you've always wanted to be within this incarnation? You have the choice. We're regaining our freedom again. We're regaining something. They didn't make you have a crucible just so that they could be mean to you. They didn't make you go through these tough lessons just to leave you here. They did it because there's a prophecy on your life. This is a living testament to who you are as a soul. This is the New Testament of White Wolf, of whoever you are, whoever is watching. It doesn't matter. But what matters is that this incarnation is a living testament to who you're trying to be as a soul. What you're trying to emulate within this incarnation. But have a victorious spirit. Use the power of the I amness. Don't dwell on the negative. Don't dwell on your flaws. Don't dwell on your subjective feelings. But transcend all that you need to transcend within the space that you have now so that you can create differently. What we're doing when we don't empower our message, and I would not be, but my message has always been empowering, but I had a rebellious spirit. I didn't have wisdom. I didn't have discernment. I didn't have compassion. I was just expressing myself how I was supposed to express myself at that point in time 2 or 3 years ago. But now the message here is more powerful, it's more truthful, it's more transcendent because they allowed me to have that freedom. But if you didn't know your power, if you didn't know your authenticity, if you didn't know all of these things, then anything I'm telling you right now would be rather useless. I would not say anything if it wasn't meant for me, because half of the time I talk to myself. But I'm not talking myself up here. This is non-existent. This mind that you have allows you to believe in lack. But your higher consciousness allows you to always expand, always find a reason to live, always find a reason to get up in the morning, always find a reason to be all that you can be in this moment. Make the most of this moment. Make the most of now. Make the most of this present moment. Make the most of it. Because the past is the past. You can't change the past. It made you what you are, but you don't identify yourself with that hallucination. You don't identify yourself with that illusion. That illusion has nothing to do with you. That's why I don't watch the news anymore. That's why I used to care about stuff like that, but it doesn't make me more right than somebody. It doesn't make things better. Because when you give your vibration to something that lowers it, it hinders you growing and transcending and expanding and staying within the stretching zone. It doesn't allow you to stay in the stretching zone. It allows you to try to be this anarchist for this thing that happened to you when you were like a kid or something. Even the worst things that's ever happened to us, our most catalystic moments, if we understand that it happened to us for a reason, it happened to us for a reason, but it doesn't define who we are right this second. But who we are now in this moment, right here, right now, I don't care if you've been on the path for 12 years, 20 years, but who you are right in this very second. I'm going to wait for the plane to pass. But who you are right in this very moment is perfect, is wonderful, is transcendent. Be happy with where you are, purify where you're coming from, so wherever you get to, then you're embracing that. We always act like, oh, it hasn't happened yet, oh, this didn't happen, oh, this... It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that it's never going to happen. You got to stay in faith. You got to have courage. You got to have tenaciousness about you in order to be very patient, in order to have the willpower to withstand all that you're going to withstand. You got to know your power. And you can't keep suppressing it. Don't suppress who you are. Even if it's not relevant to be around certain people, even if it's not relevant to stay at that job, you have to stay within the relevancy of the present moment. You have to, in order to transcend your life right here, right now, ever present. That's the only way to do it, is to stay within the present. You can't do it trying to please other people, please a paradigm. You have to change your environment. Your environment has to reflect who you really are. Your environment, you are a subject to your environment, but place what you want in your environment. See what you want to see. See what as God sees today. And please share out to all the groups. This is White Wolf. Place your desired reality right here in the present. See what you want to see in this present moment. Don't live in the future. Don't live in the past. It has never helped you. It has never helped anybody. It has never helped anybody within the paradigm of where you are. Be happy with where you are. Be happy at your state of consciousness. If you need to seek guidance, seek that guidance. If you need to heal, heal it. If you need to empty yourself out, clear yourself. Do that. But know your power, know who you are, accept yourself, and run wild and run free and be peaceful, truly on purpose. Be peaceful truly on purpose, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't make you a better person when you are so hard on yourself. I think I made my seeking a little toxic because I was so hard on myself. I was like, I didn't get this done. I didn't do this. I didn't make these workshops. Do I need to invest in this? Do I need to do that? Do I need to get 2 jobs? It will all come to you in due time. But you must have the willpower, and you must have the patience, and you must have the faith, and you must not give up on yourself. Don't give up on the self. Embrace where you are, right here, right now. Don't question it. Don't disregard it. And just be all that you are in this moment. Because you'll remember these tough times that you go through. And you'll be like, wow, I made it through today. I made it through the trial. I made it through the tribulation. I made it through the challenge. But don't be afraid to challenge yourself. Don't be afraid to slap yourself with some truth. Don't be afraid to hold yourself accountable. But don't make it negative. Just make it as another growing pain. Just make it as another growth process. Because this isn't a progressive consciousness. It's not a regressive consciousness. But we each all have our own higher self, and we each all have our own journey. Even if I didn't say anything on this live feed right now, it would be powerful. But you got to seek the magic within. You can't seek the magic from me. You can't seek the magic from MorningStar. You can't seek the magic from Jesus even. But once you follow your heart, once you're driven by your heart, once you see the magic within you, once you see the creation within you, once you see how God wants you to see, then you'll figure out who you really are as a soul, as a consciousness. So make a brief decision today. Do not hold back. Do not give in to lack. But you have everything intact. And you're ready, and you're well able, and you are a victor, not a victim. And you are going to change lives, move mountains, and become the transcendence of what Christ consciousness truly is. But once you tap into bliss, once you tap into your happiness, once you tap into all of yourself, then the magic will unfold in front of you. But this is White Wolf. Please share out to all the groups, and this is my live feed for today. I'm just going to be doing some sessions where I have just kind of a cigar chat, or just a healing, or maybe a message and a healing. And your donations would be so appreciated at this time. We're going through a change in our life. We need all the donations that we can get. We need all the appointments that we can get. So please share out to all the groups. Go to MorningStar at I Am Movement BitChute. Go to BitChute and see our live feeds. Like the I Am Movement page. I capital space M capital space M capital movement, all lowercase. Go to Instagram and see our TikToks, I_M_movement, all lowercase. And also check out MorningStar's YouTube channel, the I Am Movement, I capital space M capital M space capital movement. The rest is lowercase. So I hope you all enjoyed this message. I hope it kept you encouraged and inspired. I have love for all of you, and you all have a blessed day.